Here's how I turn a $150 detail into a $400 detail with 4 add-ons that make up my pre-sale package. What's going on, guys? Luke here with Wilson Auto Detailing and AutoDetailer.com. The Land Cruiser that you see in this video is owned by a client of mine who is about to sell it. This is a 2003 Land Cruiser, I believe. It's never been detailed on a regular basis and it sits outside. So it is in terrible condition, but we need to give it some curb appeal in order to increase the resale value. Now, I'm breaking this video into 2 parts, what I'm doing and the business side of why I'm doing it. Let's jump in to what I'm doing. The very first add-on that's going to be included in my exterior detail package that's going to allow me to go from $150 to $400 is an engine bay detail. The engine of the Land Cruiser has never been detailed on a regular basis, like I said, and it's insanely dirty. Now, it's important not to overthink this part. I'm gonna open up the engine, blow it out, and make sure I get all that dry debris out. And then I'm gonna start by detailing the door jamb of that opened hood area. So I'm detailing around the perimeter, both on the top and on the bottom. And I always start on the top because all of that dirt and dust and debris is gonna come down with the water. So never start down below, always look up. Now, generally speaking, an engine bay detail cannot be any simpler. I'm using Super Clean Degreaser diluted 5:1, and it's important I'm putting it in a IK foam pump sprayer. The reason why the pump sprayer is important with an engine bay detail is because I'm not going to be touching a bunch of the components very aggressively, if at all. At most, I'm gonna be using a little bit of a detail brush, a little bit of a scrub brush to agitate certain areas, maybe even a microfiber towel, and then I'm gonna rinse it off with my pressure washer. So I want that foam to stick to the area, allow the degreaser to work as long as possible so that when I come in with a little bit of water, the dirt tends to melt off. One of the reasons why engine bay details tend to be pretty simple is because the dirt that's on there is generally not all that adhered to the surface. And so putting a degreaser in foam form is enough to pull it off when you come in with a little bit of pressurized water. It's important for me to say, I put a trash bag over the top right area of the inner components of the Land Cruiser engine because there were some exposed wires. Anytime there are any type of exposed wires, I always am more conservative than not. I cover it. I never even touch it with water. It's how I stay safe in an engine bay detail. The other thing that's important for me to point out here is that I always hold my pressure washer way far back, and you don't even have to use a pressure washer. You could use a simple garden hose attachment, but I like the pressure washer because it adds a little bit of air in what I'm doing, and if I hold it far back enough, and of course I have lots of experience doing this, I know that I'm going to be safe. Now, after I rinse everything off, I come in with my Ego cordless blower. I blow dry everything. I still hold it way far back because you can still damage things internally if you're blowing a bunch of compressed air or a blow dryer too close. And then I turn the engine on. It's really important for me to say that even as I dress the engine, I'm going to turn the engine on in between drying and dressing because I want it to run for about 5 minutes after I've sprayed water. Then I turn it off. I start dressing it. I've got Aqua Gloss from Superior Products diluted 5:1 in a spray bottle. It's water soluble, and I like doing it 5:1 because it's not too shiny and not shiny enough. I spray it primarily all over the black plastic porous trim or the black plastic components inside the engine. And yes, I can actually be pretty liberal with it because it's just going to drip dry. And like I said, it's a water-based product. And so we're not going to be damaging anything. And then I might take a little aerosol can coating to get in some hard to reach areas. I back up and I let it dry. I run the engine for another 5 minutes. Now I want to come in for the after result, and you guys can see that while yes, there are still some areas that are drying, it looks absolutely fantastic. Not all areas of the metal are totally clean. And I'm zooming into the top right half there to show you the part that I covered that I did not detail, where there was some exposed wiring, and you can see it's still a little bit dirty, and that's fine with me. I would rather deliver a 95% done engine that has been protected and still runs perfectly than an engine that was perfectly done and is now not turning on. It's just a safety component. And you can see the door jambs are also very clean as well. The second of the 4 add-ons that make up my pre-sale package is going to be restoring the black trim. And on the Land Cruiser, I'm going to be starting with the black trim on that running board that you step up to get into the car on. First of all, I blast it with my pressure washer. I use a detail brush and some degreaser to clean it all out, and then I blast it, rinse it off, and dry it off. Very simple cleaning process. Now, for the sake of understanding black trim, I like to divide it down into 2 major categories: porous black trim and non-porous black trim. Porous black trim is less smooth, a little bit more bumpy, and if you've ever seen a Jeep Wrangler, the porous black trim is what makes up that black trim that's all over the fender wells, and it makes up kind of the entirety of the exterior of the Jeep Wrangler, right? So if you use a dye restoration product like Solution Finish, it's gonna quickly seep into the pores. Smooth black trim or non-porous black trim is more like what you see dividing the windows front to back on your car, right? The A pillar, B pillar. It's kind of that really smooth, kind of less porous. You kind of have to polish it if you want to restore it, and you don't have that soaking in kind of phenomenon when you're using something like Solution Finish. This Land Cruiser has both of these types, and what's great about a product like Solution Finish is it's very versatile, and so when I'm using it on the running boards here, after I've dried it off, after cleaning it, I'm simply going to soak my microfiber towel. That's going to be my applicator for Solution Finish here. I'm going to get it into all the cracks and crevices, and I'm going to over apply it, because this is my secret with Solution Finish to make it a little bit faster. When I'm getting into intricate areas like this, where there's kind of just a lot of cracks and crevices and textures, I over apply it, because Solution Finish is so easy to use. It's so versatile. It's like impossible to mess up. You can get it on paint, glass, and it's not going to hurt anything. When I over apply it, it's easy to seep into all of those textured pieces, so that when I come in with a dry microfiber towel, it's just an easy way to get this done faster rather than trying to be so intricate. Over apply, wipe up the excess, move on with your life. After restoring it on both of the driver's side and passenger side running boards there, I'm going to go to the trunk area, where it actually does appear to be more of a gray trim, but that might just be a side effect of it being burnt by the sun after basically 20 years of being outside. You can see restoring it brings it back to black, really that perfect, awesome finish. And then I'm going to finish with the trim above the engine and beneath the windshield wipers. Because this area is kind of impossible to get in with your fingers and even a microfiber towel, I'm actually applying it either directly to the surface and then wiping it in with a detail brush, or applying it to the detail brush and wiping it in with the bristles. Solution Finish washes out of these brushes really easily, so I don't have to dedicate the brush to just dyeing back black plastic trim, and it's really easy to get into all those intricate areas. Over apply, once again, come back and mop up with a dry microfiber towel, and it makes the process really simple. The third add-on we're going to be including here is that window rubber trim seal restoration, not using Solution Finish, but a bit of a different approach. Many of you guys know, if you look at the before here, you can see something probably familiar to you. That rubber trim around the windows starts to degrade over time. It gets oxidized, dirty, and sunburned, and it really just needs to be replaced. That weather stripping should come off, but that's kind of a pain in the neck to do. And so the best way to restore it is simply blast it with a pressure washer, come in with a strong 5-to-1, 10-to-1 degreaser. In this case, I'm using Green All about 10-to-1. Then I come in with a magic eraser. I scrub and kind of scrape with the magic eraser all that top layer dirt off, blast it off, apply more of the chemical, and then I come in with a little Dremel tool or a rotary tool that's attached to my PXE80 polisher and a really, really firm foam pad. The foam pad that's really firm does a little bit of cutting, the chemical cleans, and as I come back and forth around the seals with my little Dremel tool, I'm able to take what I did with the magic eraser one step further. What I'm basically doing is allowing the foam pad to rip all of the dirt and oxidation off. The chemical is going to clean. Then after that, I'm going to come in with a little glue stick looking chemical that is a bit of a rubber trim moisturizer or conditioner. It's not a true restoration product, but it is going to bring back a bit of a matte, deep black appearance, and it's going to moisturize that which is left over now. That's the way I like to take care of that sunburned weather stripping. Now I should pause here just for a second, because many detailers teach you to restore this by taking like a non-abrasive scrub pad or something like that to this particular weather stripping, using a chemical or even a polish and scraping it off. I'm telling you that I've done that. It's not the most effective way to approach something like this for two reasons. Number one, if you use anything more than a magic eraser and a Dremel tool like this, you're going to actually put real scratches into the trim. Secondly, if you do use polish, which yes, will abrade and kind of restore at the same time, it is kind of a bear to get off of the weather stripping, and you can really shove it down into the cracks beneath the window and in between the rubber and the glass, and that can be a problem as well. It can even stain some of the trim that is of different material than the weather stripping that connects to the stripping. So using a chemical, using a foam, really hard pad to do the cutting, and a magic eraser to prep all of it, in my opinion, is really the best way to prep it. Now, like I said, the other reason why I don't like to use Solution Finish in a situation like this is because I'm not really trying to dye it back to black. I'm trying to condition it and moisturize it and keep it that matte finish that it is now. And so this particular product is actually manufactured in Germany from a company called NextZet. I'll link it up below because it is a bit of a more specific product if you want to check it out. Now, the final add-on here is going to be what I call targeted scratch removal. On the Land Cruiser, you can see as I shine my Scan Grip pen light to highlight some of these fine, what I call hairline scratches. They're not really beneath the clear coat at any significant level. They don't require touch-up paint, but they are noticeable outside in direct sun. All I like to do when I'm prepping a car for a pre-sale inside of a pre-sale package is use tape after the exterior detail is done to identify the most obvious and largest scratches that I know we can at least mask 80% or more or take care of altogether. And here's my exact approach. Okay, I'm using my cordless flex dual action polisher. I'm using a heavy cut foam pad from Lake Country. It's a 5-inch backing plate, and I'm using Cut Max from Sonax. All I am doing is applying actually a lot of pressure in the beginning for about 30 to 45 seconds, easing up, cooling off the speed to about a 3 or a 2.5 to bring back the shine. After that initial high pressure, then I come in to check and see if that scratch is still there. If it is, I repeat that process, add maybe a tiny dollop of more polish, and that is it. That is the easiest way to do what I call targeted scratch removal, even for those of you who are beginners in the paint correction world who feel like you don't want to burn through paint, don't want to make a mistake. This is a great way to take care of scratches, and I want to show you just a couple before and afters here because you can see how effective something like this is. Again, each targeted scratch removal in this situation took about a total of, let's say, 60 seconds, maybe 90 seconds. So let's pretend like there's 10 to 15 scratches that we want to start to address. You're talking about an extra half hour of work to remove those scratches that are going to be very noticeable to a buyer in a private sale situation. It's part of why this is the fourth add-on that raises the value of the detail and the sale so much. So there's the products, tools, and strategies that make up the 4 core components of my pre-sale package, including a regular interior and exterior detail. But now I want to have a brief business conversation of how I came up with this stuff. When you are performing a detail for a customer who's about to sell the car, it's a very different pricing frame. And here's what I mean. In a regular detail situation, when I quote $150, $250, $350 in order to get that done, the person is in the frame of mind that they are simply going to be paying for the detail. What they're getting is a detail, and that's the beginning and end of it. When you are doing a pre-sale package detail, there's a different frame of price in that the customer is framing the price within the context of the increase in what they're going to be able to charge or the increase in the value it's going to bring for them in the actual sale. So the reason I call this my pre-sale package and why it's so profitable is because all in all, these 4 different add-ons take me probably an additional hour and a half to 2.5 hours depending on the car. But it allows me to increase from $150 to $400 without any price objection because that additional $250 of value is something that in the customer's mind, they are going to at least 3 or 4x in the actual sale. And so they, in some sense, overcome their own pricing objection just because of the framework within which the price is presented, in that it's not a regular detail, it's a pre-sale detail. And the things that we're including in these add-ons are the first thing that a buyer is going to see that's going to elevate the overall feel of the value of the car. And so the customer, when presented the higher price, is again putting it inside of that pre-sale framework. And so there's not a price objection to a higher than average exterior or interior or complete detail price. This was one of the primary ways I immediately increased my profitability in the beginning stages of my business. Rather than just talking to customers as if I had an interior, exterior, or complete detail option, I was able to add a whole nother category of detailing with different types of add-on packages that fit different goals for customers who were selling their cars that they were more than happy to pay significantly more money for because of what they would be able to get out of the actual sale of the car afterwards. Now, I want to emphasize this point. The way that you package together the add-ons matters. Black trim restoration, scratch removal, engine detailing, and restoring the really degraded weather stripping, when packaged together, you're basically hitting all of the big dominoes of any 20-year, 15-year-old car that's been sitting outside. Because when you don't detail these things, even if you perform a regular exterior detail, it's going to come off as if it's not that good of a detail, because even though the degradation of the black trim is not a cleaning issue, or the scratch removal is not a cleaning issue, or the black trim restoration is not a cleaning issue, all these things are restoration issues. Unless you take care of them, the overall detail when you're done actually doesn't look very good. So they have to be coupled together in this way in order to elevate that overall appearance. The other reason why, from a business perspective, coupling things like this together really matters is because I call this high impact, low cost services. So when I package these together, I already said it takes somewhere, let's call it around 2 hours, depending on the amount of black trim or the number of scratches, but that's going to be an average time. You are able to charge significantly more than your original hourly rate. Most of you are probably getting somewhere around $50, maybe $75 per hour for traditional detailing. All of a sudden, packaging these together inside of a pre-sale package allows you to charge $125 an hour, for example, in this case, in this add-on package. And it's because in this situation, you're moving out of an hourly rate model and you're moving into more of a value-driven model where you're delivering something that doesn't really have anything to do with the time put in, but the value that the customer will get out after it's delivered. And so again, you move out of this hourly rate model, you're able to make significantly more, not to mention the amount of product involved in doing this is very minimal, so your cost comes down significantly as well. How much does it cost to detail an engine bay with a little bit of degreaser diluted 5-to-1? How much solution finish do you have to use that's like a $25 bottle for 12 ounces? You know, you're using an ounce maybe to restore all of this black trim. Again, you get my point. And the last thing that I need to add here is that all of these products are extremely simple and these services are very simple to perform. I don't need any skill to restore the black trim, but it's not a skill that customers have because they're not detailers and they don't own the products. So what happens is when we take really easy to perform skills and really easy to acquire products, but we stack those services inside of a group or inside of a service offering to deliver them all at the same time for a customer, you're taking these individual pieces that a customer would not know how or know what to do on their own, stacking them on top of each other, and so it feels like a significant amount of value to them in addition to just what they're going to get when they sell it. They're thinking, man, I would have never been able to do this on my own, which of course in their case is true. So I like taking individual services that are extremely simple to perform that you don't have to have any training on as a detailer, stacking them on top of each other and delivering them as an all-in-one package because the whole is greater than the sum of its parts in terms of the perception of value to the customer. There you go, guys. That is my pre-sale package and how I'm able to significantly increase my price just by reframing, number one, what's being delivered and the context within which those services are being delivered. And you can do it today as well. If you want to check out any of the tools and products I used in this video, check out the YouTube description box below. And if you got value here and you want a little bit more info on exactly how to restore that degraded rubber trim, rubber weather seals around your window, check out the video on screen here because it's a serious nuisance area, but this is me diving in detail to show you how to fix it really easily.